Deep in the Appalachian woods stood an abandoned prison known as Blackstone Penitentiary. Locals called it the Echo House because they swore screams could be heard even when no one was inside. The prison had been closed for decades, its history buried under rumors of violent riots and unspeakable acts committed by its infamous warden, Elroy Finch. Desperate to escape the monotony of his desk job, Charlie, an amateur urban explorer, decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, a camera, and a curious mind, he slipped past the rusted gates and into the decaying labyrinth of halls. The air smelled of mildew and rot, and every step he took sent echoes bouncing eerily off the walls. Charlie's goal was simple: find the warden's office. The stories said Finch had locked himself in there the night the prisoners revolted, and that no one ever saw him leave. The room, they said, remained sealed, as though guarding a dark secret. After hours of navigating collapsing corridors and dodging rooms filled with debris, Charlie found it. A heavy oak door, bolted shut and scratched with deep gouges. Warden Finch was engraved on a tarnished brass plaque. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, but excitement overpowered fear. He pulled out a crowbar, pried at the rusted hinges, and the door creaked open. The room was unnervingly intact. A large desk sat in the center, its surface coated in a thick layer of dust. Shelves of ledgers lined the walls, their spines brittle and cracked. On the desk lay an old rotary phone, disconnected yet pristine. A single chair faced away from him, and he swore it moved slightly when he stepped inside. Ignoring the chill that crept up his spine, Charlie began documenting the room with his camera. The flash illuminated a photo on the desk showing Finch surrounded by faceless inmates, literally faceless, as their features were scratched out. Charlie leaned in closer, his flashlight flickering. Then the phone rang. He froze. The sound was deafening in the dead silence. The phone rattled slightly, its receiver shaking as though begging to be answered. Against every instinct, Charlie picked it up. "Hello?" His voice was barely a whisper. A guttural voice responded, low and wet, as if choking on water. "Why, are you here?" Charlie's mouth went dry. "Just exploring," he stammered. "I didn't mean to." The voice interrupted with a distorted laugh, echoing in his skull. "You came for the truth. Look behind you." He spun around, flashlight trembling in his grip. The chair was no longer empty. A figure sat there, bloated, pale, and grinning with rotted teeth. Its hollow eyes stared into him, and in its lap rested a rusted baton. The figure stood, impossibly tall, and raised the baton. Charlie screamed, dropping his flashlight, plunging the room into darkness. When he came to, he was slumped in the warden's chair. The phone was gone, the desk was empty, but his hands were no longer his. They were calloused, cracked, and stained with blood. And then the whispers began. From every shadow in the room, voices called to him, pleading, mocking, begging for release. Charlie tried to leave, but the door wouldn't budge. His reflection in the cracked window showed not his face, but the leering visage of Elroy Finch. The prison, it seemed, had a new warden, and the Echo House would never let him go.